Every day he came to her door with bread and milk. No questions, no explanation. He never stayed long enough to be thanked, and she never asked why. The heat came early that summer. It settled over the valley like something alive, pressing down, squeezing the air until breathing felt like work. Dust covered everything, the walls, the floor, the small hands of her children. Even the little vine by the door, the one thing still trying to grow, wore a coat of pale grit. Inside, the air didn't move. It just waited, heavy, still, like the world had stopped to see who would give in first. It wasn't the hunger that frightened her. It was how quiet it made everything. Her son watched without speaking, too young to carry that much silence, too old not to understand it. Her daughter still traced patterns in the dust, still found ways to pretend this wasn't real. That was the only thing keeping the room from breaking. The shadow came at the same time every day, long, thin, cutting across the doorway just before the sun shifted. She didn't turn right away. She never did. If she moved too quickly, it would mean she was waiting, and she refused to let that be true. He stepped in, quiet. No knock, no greeting, just the sound of something being placed on the floor. A basket, always the same. Bread, milk, enough for the children, never more, never less. She gave a small nod, nothing else. No thanks, no words that might make it something bigger than it was. Because out here, kindness always had a cost, and she didn't know his yet. He didn't look at her, not directly. His eyes stayed near her hands, watching, measuring, the same way she watched him. His clothes, worn, but not careless. His boots, scuffed, but made from leather too fine for a man with nothing. That was the first thing she noticed. The second was how clean his hands were. Not soft, but deliberate, like a man who chose what to carry with him and what to leave behind. He nodded once, then turned, left the way he came. No hesitation, no glance back, just the sound of footsteps fading into the heat. She waited until the silence settled again, until the dust stopped moving. Only then she picked up the basket, broke the bread, poured the milk, gave everything to the children, none for herself. That was the rule, not spoken, but absolute. Her son watched the door long after he was gone. "He's not poor," he said quietly. She didn't answer. "He walks like someone who doesn't have to ask." Still, she said nothing. Her daughter smiled, soft, like the man had brought more than just food. That frightened her more than the hunger. Days passed like that, marked not by time, but by his shadow. Morning, survive. Afternoon, wait. Evening, endure. She tried not to think about him, tried not to wonder, tried not to notice that the day felt different before he came and after he left. That was how it started. Not with trust, not with hope. With something far more dangerous. Dependence. Dependence was a line she had sworn she would never cross. But hunger has a way of redrawing lines. The next day she woke before the light, not because she had rested, because staying still meant thinking, and thinking meant counting what was left. Water almost gone. Food what he brought, nothing more. She stepped outside. The air was cooler, but only just. The ground still held yesterday's heat. She took the bucket, walked toward the creek, 1/2 mile, each step measured, each breath controlled. This was the part no one saw. Not the waiting, not the silence, the work. The creek was barely there, a thin, reluctant trickle cutting through dry stone. She knelt, dipped the bucket slowly so the mud wouldn't rise, waited for the water to clear. Patience. Always patience. That was how survival worked. Not strength, not luck. Time. When she returned, the children were awake, her son already standing in the doorway, watching the horizon. He'll come today. Not a question, a certainty. She set the bucket down. Eat first. But he didn't move. He always comes. A beat. At the same time. She turned away, didn't answer. She didn't want that to matter. The morning passed in silence. She mended what she could, stitched fabric that had been stitched before, thread pulled tight over weakness, holding for now. Her daughter sat beside her, watching, learning, trying. A crooked line of thread, a small smile when it held. That was enough for a moment. The sun climbed, higher, heavier. The air thickened again, and with it the waiting. She told herself she wasn't listening, that she wasn't measuring the light against the doorway, that she wasn't. The shadow appeared, right on time. Of course it did. He stepped in, same as always, same basket, same silence. But something shifted. He didn't leave. Not right away. The basket touched the floor, but his boots didn't turn. He stood there, still, watching. For the first time, not her hands, her face. She felt it immediately, the difference, the weight of it. "What?" she asked quietly. The word came out before she could stop it. He didn't answer, not with words. His eyes moved to the bucket, half full, clouded, to the corner where the last piece of bread from yesterday sat, small, not enough. Then back to her, understanding, too much of it. She straightened slightly. "We are managing." The words were firm, practiced, but something in them cracked. He heard it. Of course he did. He nodded once, slow. Then, for the first time, he spoke more than a word. "You give them everything." Not a question, a statement. She didn't reply, didn't need to. It was obvious. He looked at the children, the boy watching him carefully, the girl holding her piece of bread like it mattered, then back to her. "You don't eat." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. She met his gaze. Didn't deny it. Didn't explain it. Just held it. Something changed then, small but real. He reached into the basket, pulled out the bread, broke it, not into 3 pieces, into 4. He set one piece closer to her, not pushing, not insisting, just placing it there. A line crossed, not by her, by him. She stared at it, didn't touch it, didn't move, because taking it would mean something, something she wasn't ready to name. He stepped back, gave her space, like he always did. But this time he didn't leave immediately. He waited, not for thanks, not for words, for a choice. Her daughter looked at the bread, then at her, silent, trusting. Her son said nothing, but he didn't look away. They were watching. She reached forward, slowly, took the piece, held it in her hand, didn't eat it, but didn't give it away either. That was enough, for now. He nodded once, turned, walked out into the heat, same as always, but not the same. The room felt different, fuller, heavier. She looked down at the bread in her hand, still warm, still real, still dangerous, because now it wasn't just survival. It was something else. Something else was harder to ignore than hunger. Because hunger you could measure. This you couldn't. The pattern broke 2 days later. Not his shadow, something else. A rider, black horse, moving too fast for a place like this. She saw him first. Of course she did. Men like that didn't belong here. And when they came, they never came alone. The horse stopped just short of the door. Didn't need to get closer. Power never did. He didn't dismount, just sat there, looking down at the shack like it had offended him, like it shouldn't exist. The children stayed inside, quiet, watching from the shadows. She stepped into the doorway, not forward, not back, just enough to be seen. "What do you want?" Her voice was steady. He smiled, slow, measured, like the question didn't matter. This land. A small gesture, casual, like he was pointing at something already his. It lowers the value of everything around it. "I'll give you 20. Silence. The number hung in the air. Small, insulting, final. She didn't move, didn't react. "My husband built this." "It's not for sale." The smile shifted, not gone, just thinner, colder. "Husband?" He leaned forward slightly. "I don't see one." "I see a problem." The words landed without force, but heavier than anything else he could have said. She held his gaze, didn't lower her eyes, didn't step aside. Silence stretched. Then he laughed, soft, without humor. "Things happen out here." A beat. Fires. Another. Wells go bad. And no one asks why. The threat settled into the dust, invisible, unavoidable. He straightened, gave the shack one last look, like it was already gone, then turned the horse, left, fast, like he had already finished what he came to do. She didn't move, not right away. The children stepped closer, small hands gripping fabric. "Ma." She shook her head. Not now. Not fear, not in front of them. Not yet. From the ridge, someone else had seen everything. Flint, standing still, watching, the same way he always did. But this time, something in him shifted. Small, sharp. Recognition. He knew that man, knew what followed, and for the first time, watching wasn't enough. That afternoon, his shadow came again. Same time, same place, but the air was different, charged, heavy. She felt it before he stepped inside. He set the basket down, didn't turn. Not this time. The silence stretched between them, longer than before. Then he spoke. Trouble. One word, not a question, a fact. She hesitated, every instinct telling her, say nothing, keep it yours, survive it alone. That's how she had lived since the fever took her husband. But this was different. This wasn't hunger. This was something she couldn't outlast. She nodded. Small, barely there. A man came, her voice quiet, careful. He wants the land. A pause. He says things happen. Silence again. He didn't move, didn't react, but something tightened, subtle, controlled. Anger. Not loud, not visible, but there. He looked around the shack, the walls, the children, the empty space where more should have been. Then back to her. You stay watchful. Not comfort, not reassurance. Truth. The only kind he gave. He turned, walked out, same as always, but not the same. The silence he left behind felt different now. Not empty. Waiting. Waiting was the worst part. Not knowing when. Not knowing how. Only knowing it would come. The night held its breath. No wind. No sound. Even the boards of the shack stopped creaking, like the world itself was listening. She didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every small noise felt too sharp. Every silence too long. Fear doesn't shout. It waits. The smell came first. Faint. Then stronger. Wrong. She sat up, listened. Nothing. But the smell. She stepped outside, bare feet on dirt, cold now. The bucket still by the well. She lowered it, slowly, pulled. The rope creaked. The bucket surfaced, and the smell hit her. Rot, sickening, unmistakable. She staggered back. Not accident. Never accident. By morning, it got worse. The garden gone, torn, trampled. Soil turned, salted. Every green thing crushed into the dirt. A message written clearly enough. Leave, or lose everything. She stood there, didn't cry, didn't shout, just looked at the place she had built, piece by piece, now broken in a single night. The children stood behind her, silent. They understood. Not the details, but the truth. This wasn't survivable. She moved anyway, back to work, because stopping meant ending. She strained creek water, boiled it, replanted what she could, hands shaking, but moving, always moving. That was the only way she knew how to fight. By midday, she was on her knees in the dirt, trying to push life back into dead ground. Futile, but necessary. The shadow came, right on time. She didn't look up, couldn't, didn't want him to see. Not this, not her failure, not the truth. The basket touched the ground, same as always, but the footsteps didn't leave. They came closer, stopped beside her. Silence, heavy. He looked at everything. The well, the garden, her hands, the way she kept working like it still mattered. He understood immediately. His work, not a question, a statement. She nodded, slow, didn't trust her voice. He knelt, close enough to see the damage, to see her, really see her. Something in him changed. The quiet man, the watcher, gone. In his place, something else, still controlled, but no longer distant. The test was over. He had seen enough. The hunger, the silence, the way she gave everything and asked for nothing. Ruin without breaking. That was what he needed to know. He stood, turned slightly, gesturing toward the basket by the door. "For many days," he said, "I brought you bread and milk." His voice low, steady, different now. "It was all I could give without knowing." A pause. He looked at her directly, for the first time, no distance, no hesitation. "Today, I bring you my heart." The words settled into the broken ground between them. Strange, impossible, dangerous. More dangerous than anything that had happened. She looked up at him, dust on her face, dirt on her hands. Nothing left to offer. "I don't understand." Her voice barely carried. "I have nothing." He shook his head. "You have everything." A beat. "You don't break." Silence. The wind moved lightly across the ruined garden, carrying dust, carrying the moment. He extended his hand, not forcing, not pleading, offering. "Come with me." Simple, final. "Bring them," a glance toward the children. "Leave this place." She looked at his hand, then at the shack, the broken garden, the poisoned well, then at her children, one wary, one hopeful. Two futures, one choice. She placed her hand in his, slowly, deliberately. "Yes." Yes. The word didn't echo. It settled like something final. He didn't lead them toward town, didn't take the road anyone else would take. He turned toward the ridge, the one people ignored, too steep, too empty, leading nowhere, or so it seemed. They climbed in silence, the children close, her hand still in his, not held tightly, but not let go. Not anymore. The shack grew smaller behind them, just wood, just dust, just something that had held them until it couldn't. The air changed as they climbed, cooler, thinner, cleaner. She felt it before she understood it. Something was different. The world below, hard, dry, unforgiving. The world ahead, hidden, waiting. They reached the top. He stopped, didn't turn right away, just stood there. Then, close your eyes. She hesitated, only for a moment, then did. The children shifted beside her. A small sound, surprise. Another, something like laughter. Now. She opened her eyes, and the world changed. Green, impossible green. A valley carved out of nowhere. Water moving, not trickling, flowing, clear, alive. Grass bending in the wind. Cattle moving slowly across open land. A house, stone and timber, solid, real, not surviving, living. Everything this place had never been. She didn't speak, couldn't. Behind her, the children stepped forward, drawn to it, understanding it in the only way that mattered. Safety. He stepped beside her. My father built this. Simple, like it meant nothing, but it did. It meant everything. I let the world think, a glance back toward the valley of dust, that I had nothing. A pause. A man with something real doesn't show it. Not out here. She looked at him, really looked, at the man behind the silence, the one who had watched, not judged, the one who had given, not taken. You were testing me. Not anger, understanding. He didn't deny it. Everyone wants something. A beat. I needed to know you didn't. Silence. The wind moved between them, soft, alive. She looked back at the valley, at what waited, then at him. And now? He met her gaze, no distance left, no mask. Now I choose. A long pause. Not out of need, not out of pity. A breath. Because I know who you are. And I won't let the world take that from you. Below them, the valley waited, not as a promise, not as a reward, as a beginning. The children moved ahead, drawn toward it, toward something they had never known. Home. She followed, not because she had to, because she chose to. He walked beside her, not leading, not behind, equal. Far below, the dry valley remained. Dust, silence. A place that had tested them and lost. Above it, hidden from the world, something else had been waiting. Not wealth, not safety, truth. And for the first time since the bread, since the silence, since the choice, she allowed herself something she had not trusted before. Hope.